Okay guys, so hello everyone. Today we have the full review on the full set of the Kobolds and Catacombs. Now that every card is revealed, I want to take a look at all the cards that have first been revealed in the last 2 days. Then we're gonna take a look at specific all classes. And then we're also gonna probably come on with a tier list. First, we're gonna start with the cards that have been revealed in the last week for Druid. And the first one that was revealed was the Astral Tiger. 4 mana 3/5, shuffle a copy of this minion in your deck. So where Druid already has the mechanic of going infinite with the Jade Idol, they just gained another one here, and this one is more for the recruit mechanic, where you can keep going on with recruit minions, especially for 4 mana or less. There are cards in the Druid that also really ask for 4 mana cards or even less to make it beneficial. And this is just an infinite card. The card itself is not so good. 4 mana 3/5. It's whatever. 4 mana 3/5 with not having taunt, not having a battle cry or a death rattle on the board is, I don't think it is good. So the only reason why you want to play this card in your competitive Druid deck is to go infinite. It is not as good as Jade Idol, so it will not be a card that wants to go infinite by Jade Idols. But if there is a Geist meta around, if the recruit mechanic really goes up for Druid, and there are 2 cards for Druid that really are good for the recruit mechanic, especially the card, the 4 mana card that asks for an 4 or less mana recruit. This card is then probably a card that you want to do if you really go on the infinite plan, and then I can definitely see it some play. But it will really be find only play for Druid in the recruit, in a recruit Druid deck. Greedy Sprite, another Druid card that has been revealed. The Greedy Sprite being a 3 mana 3/1 death rattle, gain an empty mana crystal. This is an card that I think is just super strong in no matter which class you already can play it. Just gaining an empty mana crystal, the current state of Hearthstone, by just gaining yourself additional mana crystals, I think it's just really strong. The thing why I think it is incredibly strong in Druid is because of Ultimate Infestation still being around. The longer Ultimate Infestation is around, the more broken cards like this are. Druid just wants to currently play any mana acceleration that you can. So even it being just like a death rattle, I think is super strong. I think it's going to be an auto-include even in a lot of current Druid decks. It's really comparable to My Keeper. It's really comparable to Jade Blossom. Yes, maybe there will be a time where you gain the mana crystal at the end of the turn, or like at the start of the next turn. But it's a 3 mana 3/1, so you even have a body. It can sometimes even be annoying for classes that don't have an deal 1 damage hero power to even deal with it. So this card is actually really strong. It won't be already strong in almost every class, but in Druid, as long as Ultimate Infestation is around, as much as the late game of a Druid is currently, and that is really strong, this card will just be an auto-include. It's a super consistent card in ramping, and you will see it in Jade Druids, you will see it in Big Druids, and maybe even in other Druid decks. I think current Druid decks just want to play every mana acceleration, and this one is just it's I think a better My Keeper maybe. Ironwood Golem has been another card being revealed just recently for the Druid, and the Ironwood Golem is a 4 mana 3/6 taunt, and it can only attack if you have 3 or more armor. That's it's really interesting what now is also going on with Druid. So besides the current ramp mechanic, Druid also gained cards that are really beneficial of having armor. Same for Warrior, being a card that just really benefits from you having armor, then being able to attack. But don't forget, guys, if this card is not able to attack, it's still okay. It's an you can just see it as a Tower Creeper that doesn't do much in the offensive way. It still has taunt. It's a strong card, and there are also cards for Druid now that are gaining really easily yourself some armor. It can also be really efficient with some other synergy cards. And I mean, taunts are just already really good itself. It's just like a Senjin, but a little bit stronger in stats, and it just already having like 3 attack is something that is really key. It trades off really well with 2 and 3 drops. So it's definitely a really considerable card to play. And with the other Druid synergy cards that are around, I think the Ironwood Golem can definitely be a card to already consider in some more synergy cards. Maybe even a Taunt Druid deck can really pull off. Now there are a little bit more early game taunts around, but it seems like a card that that can fit really well. Maybe even in like the Recruit Druids, because for the Recruit Druid decks there are you really want to have like some 4 mana cards that are really strong, just pulling out of your deck. And this seems like one of the best cards to just pull out of your deck if you are forced to only go for 4 mana or less cards. So with the recurrent recruit state of Druid, I think cards like this, like the Ironwood Golem, stat-wise really strong, and they are 4 mana or less. That is the key for the Recruit Druid deck to work, and can see it work. Next one, Barskin. Let me scroll a little bit up. Barskin, 1 mana Druid spell. Give a minion 3 health, gain 3 armor. So we have seen a little bit more synergy regarding the armor, and that can be... It can be nice to buy this, have like gaining 3 armor that easily. I am a little bit worried about cards like this. Like, the card itself is decent, but can you really run 1 mana spells that are not drawing you and are just a little bit questionable? Like, it can so often be a dead card. Like, the card itself, what it does for 1 mana is fine. 1 mana, 3 health, 3 armor is fine. But you don't care in the early game about that you gain armor. And just playing a card that gives 3 health, it's a decent supportive card, but it will probably be too questionable to run. And not strong enough overall. It's also an other 1 mana spell, and Druid is already a lot on 1 mana spells. It makes the Geist even worse for Druid. I don't think it's a card. It's definitely a card you pick up here and there in your arena run, because it's a reasonable card for what it does. But in Constructed, there is no power level in this card, and it can just be a dead card sometimes. So I think it will not be a card you're gonna see too much. Maybe like on taunts it can be decent, but it's just doesn't do enough, I feel. It can be good in like a Miracle Druid deck maybe, if you go hard on 1 mana spells. I have been trying and playing that deck a lot. In like a Miracle Druid, with Arcane Giants, with Auctioneer, and then you have a 1 mana spell like Barskin. It's actually really good. So that might be a way for the Druid, for Barskin. Alright, and so guys, we are coming here to the legendary weapon of the Hunter class. And the legendary weapon of the Hunter class is the Rhok'delar 7 mana 4/2 weapon. So stat wise, it's a little bit of an, you have paid quite a lot for the weapon. What is the battle cry? If your deck has no minions, fill your hand with Hunter spells. So Blizzard is really trying to make a new archetype here for Hunter, being a spell hunter. We will come to the next 1 or 2 cards that are also really into this mechanic, where we gain additional spells for Hunter to maybe make like a spell hunter really work. But not playing a single minion is something that is really hard, no matter for what deck you want. So having a deck that just really only requires on spells, weapons, for a Hunter it's just really difficult. And why is it difficult? Hunter just doesn't have any heal gain in their spells. It only has removal, no heal, no armor, nothing that really stacks up. It also has, it's a little too resilient. It doesn't have like the easy ways to deal with full board sometimes. It's a really reactive deck that that has to play too many suboptimal cards. And you can barely make a deck currently for Hunter that plays 28 spells and 2 weapons or something like that. It's really hard. So you probably still have to play it with like some minions. Maybe you want to play it with like Barnes Yishar. Maybe you want to play it with a Yok and Load or something. It doesn't have like... What Hunter needs is either good heal gain, or they need like a Twisting Nether or a Light Bomb. Like some really powerful Priest or Warlock spells, or some really strong Warrior or Druid spells with like a lot of healed life gain. That is what I feel that the current Hunter is really missing to really make a spell Hunter deck work. besides that, well, the card here, it's kind of okay. Like, it's a 7 mana 4/2, so the weapon is worth 3 or 4 mana, I would say. And for 3 mana, filling your hands just completely, like, it's a really strong draw mechanic. It's a really strong draw mechanic for Hunter for 3 or 4 mana. So this card is good if the mechanic is good. So this card can be good, but I just don't see the mechanic work. Maybe if the Hunter will have like just a spell, guys. That will be like deal 5 damage, gain 5 armor, summon a 5/5, and draw 5 cards. Cards like that could make this this archetype immediately work. Currently, I'm a little bit worried about the mechanic, but we're definitely gonna try out how far the spell Hunter can go. And here is one of the spells that is also being revealed for Hunter to maybe make the archetype a little bit better. But it's it became also a little bit of a questionable card, because this card was revealed for the before the weapon was revealed, and everybody was like, what is this card? To my side, 6 mana card for Hunter, summon an animal companion. Or 2 if your deck has no minions. So it is a deck that also wants you to play no minions at all. It's a card that definitely has some synergy here and there, and 2 animal companions summoning for 6 mana is pretty strong. The only problem is, it requires you to not have any minions, or your deck has not only minions. So it means if your hand has minions, it is fine, but if your deck has minions, it doesn't work. So the card is good if it works, but it doesn't have the power level for what it asks for. Like, it asks your deck to not play a single minion, and then you have the benefit. But yeah, there is definitely some benefit. Like, it's pretty good, 6 mana, 2 animal companions. But it is not like mind-blowing broken. No, it's just like, yeah, you have a half a mana discount on the play or something. So there is the power level of this card is just not high enough for what it asks for, I feel. Well, maybe, like, of course you want to play it in a complete spell under deck, and then it is an include, but the power of that deck, I still have a big question. I still don't think the mechanic is... you just cannot play a deck with 28 spells that doesn't have, like, a Twisting Nether, or doesn't have, like, big heal gain. I just don't see it for Hunter. I just don't see it yet. But in 1 or 2 expansions, guys, if Blizzard wants, who knows. Flanking Strike. So, another spell. Really a lot of spells have been revealed this set for Hunter. Flanking Strike. And where I don't really am on the hype train of the other 2 cards for the Hunter, I think this card is really good. I think it is really good, and I'm gonna explain you also why. Flanking Strike, 4 mana card, deal 3 damage, summon a 3/3 wolf. What Hunter is missing sometimes a little bit is like the reactive cards to still also be proactive. Hunter has a lot of strong minions, but it's really bad at dealing with other minions that are left over, dealing with tokens. And I think Flanking Strike might be a solution. It's kind of comparable maybe to like a Jade Lightning for the Shaman, and we all know how good Jade Lightning is. It is comparable to the Fire Plume, the 4 mana 3/3 elemental deal 2 damage, and that has been an include in a lot of elemental decks. That has been a really good card already around. And Flanking Strike, the 3/3 wolf being a beast, it dealing 3 damage. I think it is a really strong Hunter card. It is a card that you will play in your mid-range Hunters. You will play in your probably also in your more aggressive Hunters, and in control Hunters if that's gonna be a thing. It can't target the face, so that's a little bit of an issue maybe here and there. But a mid-range Hunter having a card like this card is good. It's a good card. It's definitely a card that mid-range Hunter likes to play. It has been lacking this mechanic a little bit, so it's definitely a card that can make the Hunter really happy to have like a Jade Lightning, a Fire Plume focused on a minion. I think this is one of the better spells for Hunter, and it will be an include in a lot of the mid-range Hunter decks. It's a card that, especially in Arena, is gonna be really strong. Cards like this are gonna dominate making Arena Hunter also way better. And another beast for the Hunter, Cave Hydra. Also damage the minion next to whoever this attacks. Hard card to really take a review on. A 3 mana 2/4 beast. I mean, there have been a lot of beasts with similar stats here around. It can be really nice if you can buff it in the meantime. Like, Hunter has some buff mechanics that buff minions in hand, that buff minions on board. Is it gonna be... It's gonna be a good card, right? I mean, if it also damages the minion next to whatever this attacks... It needs some synergy, man. It needs a little bit of a synergy. To attack, it's kind of okay. It needs a little more synergy. Like if you have this with an Houndmaster, if you have it with like a buff card from your hand, like the Zip Gunner or something like that, I can see it maybe becoming a thing. It's not that easy at turn 3 to deal with a 4 HP minion, so you definitely will have quite some games where Houndmaster is a possibility on this card. It is a beast itself, so it's I think it's a pretty nice card in general. This also with Bolt with like the Death Knight Hunter with Bolt the Beat definitely is a strong card. You can adapt it, maybe gain poison. And it being an insanely clear, like do it with a Gastropod or something else. I think it's not like a flashy new Hunter card, but it definitely is a card that you're gonna try in your Hunter decks. And it seems like it's not a card that makes Hunter directly much stronger, but you will see it here and there. And the card overall is alright. It's an alright card. It's just ok. Some cards are just ok, and this is one of them. Okay? Yeah, right. Okay. What do we have here? We have the Candleshot. 1 mana, 1/3, immune while attacking. 1 mana, 1/3, immune while attacking. Hunter weapon, Candleshot. I mean, it's nice that you don't take damage, I guess, but you don't really want to put in cards that are 1/3 as a weapon. It's really... It just takes a spot, and taking a spot as a 1 mana 1/3 weapon is not really... I mean, yeah, Light Justice can be a decent weapon to clear too. It makes like... For the Hunter, it's kind of alright, maybe, because it can play Hunter's Mark, and now you can Hunter's Mark big minions, and now you can also Candleshot. But it takes a spot in your hand, and that's a little bit of a problem with 1 mana weapons. I never can really see 1 mana weapons being strong enough. But there is synergy around for Hunter to make it better, I guess. It's not an aggressive card, not aggressive enough for a Hunter to play. I mean, maybe there are cards like Soulseed Deckhand that really wants... Like, there has been one problem with Hunter why it never run the Pirate package. And that's because it didn't really have good 1 mana pirates. It had to always play Corsair. Well, maybe this can make the Deckhand really a thing in Hunter. And play the Pirate package for when it is still available, when Patches is around. But I am a little bit worried. Yes, there is synergies. Yes, you can play it with Hunter's Mark. But I don't really think 1 mana weapons are things that constructed decks really want to play. Alright, next card is a card for the Mage. It's the Dragoncaller Alanna. Dragoncaller Alanna. Really interesting legendary for the Mage. 9 mana 3/3, summon a 5/5 dragon for each spell you cast this game that costs 5 or more. So, yeah, it's a late game card. It's a late game finisher. It's a late game more for the mid-range, kinda a little bit more aggressive or maybe spell mage decks. And it's for the big mage. It's for the big spell mage. We will go to some more cards. We already have discussed quite some mage cards that are also really wanting you to play a really expensive spells in your mage decks. So Dragoncaller Alanna is it's a card that actually has potential because it's a good curve card. It can be that you play your Meteor at turn 6, it can be that you play your Violence Portal at 7, you play your Flame Strike at turn 8, and suddenly turn 9 is an Alanna with a 9 mana 3/3 and summon 3 5/5 dragons. So there is a lot of potential in this card. There's also a lot of potential maybe even with the quest, where you are working towards completing the quest. Then you can maybe combine it with like Alanna in some way, but I think that's too fancy. But I definitely think this has the biggest potential in like an unspell heavy mage deck, and just being a really high value card. If it's gonna be strong enough, I wonder. The 5/5s are a little resilient, maybe like to big removals. Like it will always get removed by Twisting Nethers. It will get removed by Anduin. Not by Dragonfire Potion, because it summons dragons. But there is still quite some removal here and there that is gonna be left. It's not always a 9 mana win the game card. If you compare it to Death Knight Jaina is kinda a 9 mana and you slowly win the game card. This one is a more proactive, it's more powerful on the turn itself, but it can just get shooten away or just not being enough, and maybe it's hard to play all the spells, but there is definitely potential because Mage can play a lot of spells that are really good for 5 or more. So it's a card we will definitely see and test play. It's more for a proactive Mage deck, I think, and it's a little bit hard to rate this card yet before looking at all the other spells. But yeah, there is definitely more potential, and we will see more cards that are gonna push the cost 5 of this card definitely. So it's gonna be interesting to see if the Dragoncaller Alanna is gonna find the play in the meta. The card itself is definitely a good value card, and it has good potential. Deck of Wonders. So here is one of the mage spells that is also being revealed. It is a 5 mana mage spell, Deck of Wonders. Shuffle 5 scrolls into your deck when draw, cast a random spell. So you shuffle 5 scrolls into your deck when draw, cast a random spell. So there will be quite some times when it happens that you are gonna draw it. Like 5 is a lot, so it can definitely happen. And cards like this is a really hard card to evaluate. It's a completely ridiculous card. I'm not sure if I like this card at all. It is like you will have sometimes play the Arcane Missiles, and the next time it's the Pyroblast, and the next time it can be insane. It can be horrible. This is I don't think it's a good card. I think it's too slow. I don't think you get away with 5 mana shovel them in your deck. Like, if that I kind of compare it to Cabalist Stomp, and Cabalist Stomp is fine in some mage decks, but it's kind of losing you a lot of tempo, but it has the cards in your hand, so then you can play them. Well, if you just play this card and maybe your third draw is a random spell, well, how good is it really gonna be? It's definitely a fun card. We're gonna have fun with deck. I'm gonna play it here and there. We're gonna have fun with it. But I don't think it's more than... I think it's just not as powerful to find its play here. And it also casts a random, like it's... I have no idea how this card is gonna be. Like, random targets, random spells. I actually hope this card is not gonna be super good. Especially because it's also a shuffle. You never know when you're drawing it. Ridiculous card. We'll see. And another 5 mana card. So here we already now, after seeing the legendary 2 5 mana cards being revealed for the mage, reveal a spell from your deck. Deal damage equal to its cost to all minions. So that's actually a really interesting way of a joust mechanic. A joust mechanic for spells. Reveal a spell from your deck. Deal damage equal to its cost to all minions. Sick. Great. Amazing. Wow, good card. It's a card that you want to play in Control Mage. And Control Mage has some decent removals, but Mage didn't have the Dragonfire Potion or the Twisting Nether. They had some, like, Flamestrike is a good card, but having a 5 mana card that reveals a spell deal damage equal to its cost to all minions is insane. Like, yeah, if you just now reveal your Firelands Portal, suddenly you have a 7 AoE going on. 7 damage AoE. Even if you just see your Fireball, guys. If you see your Fireball here, you deal a 4 mana AoE. If you see your Ice Block, you do 3 mana AoE. Yeah, they are not as insane as these others, but it's still a good card. Like, the card, it's still really, really strong for that effect. And you're definitely gonna make your deck a little bit around it. So you're not gonna play like Arcade Missiles. Yeah, you might still want to play a Frostbolt because the card is good. But the average of this Joust will probably then be a 4 or a 5 mana card. And then you still have an insane reveal going on. So I think it's a good removal. I think it is a consistent enough removal for a Mage to run in a control deck. You're probably going to play it in like a Control Mage, Control Jaina deck with the Death Knight. And I think it is a good enough card. It will make the deck consistent enough. This removal is consistent enough in the way of it working with the Joust, of revealing a spell, and we're gonna make our deck around it. So I think it's one of the best cards revealed for the Mage, and I like this card a lot. I like this card a lot. The Joust mechanic is not as random as you think. Yeah, sometimes it's a little bit you have to play around and play with it, but it's a cool mechanic, and this card will see play. Alright, and here we go with a pretty sick elemental card for the Mage. 4 mana, 4/5 Yeti. That's what the stats are already. And, well, even Yeti, the Chillwind Yeti not being played anywhere in the meta. And 4/5 Yeti being an elemental and having the battle cry of you are holding any cards that didn't start in your deck reduce their cost by 2 is of course really good. It's a really strong card. Especially for Mage that can get random cards, random spells from itself, maybe even from your opponent pretty easily. It being an elemental, being like supportive to other Mage elementals. Like Elemental Mage, it has never been really firing off, but it never needed that much. And I think Elemental Mage, it definitely still has potential here and there. You don't want to go completely on the full Elemental plan, but there are ways to make it work. And just imagine this card with like the 2 mana Elemental that gains you a random spell. There are so many, like the Babbling Book, the Kabbalist Tomes. There are so many cards that are giving you ways of additional cards. And the good thing about this is there is just no punish in the card. Like the stats are fine on this card. It having the elemental tag is already nice, and the battle cry. So yeah, sometimes you play this card just for the 4 mana 4/5 and the battle cry. Sometimes you play this card for the 4 mana 4/5 and having the elemental tag to activate your next elemental. And sometimes you get the complete package. So there is a lot of consistency in this card. There is no fire back of the card. So this card is already okay. The card is already okay, and it has the potential of just becoming a really nice card. We will see this play. Elemental Mage is going to play it. Maybe some kind of Casino Mage is going off. It's really hard for me to rate like how good a Casino Mage is going to be. And with Casino Mage, I mean whatever you can all get from random cards, and that's a thing. I don't know how powerful that archetype is really getting there. But it also has synergy with the Legendary. For the Mage, it has synergy with the 5 mana spells from the Mage that has been revealed. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. This is a good card. It's a really good card. And also talking about more synergy in that mechanic, here is another card being revealed. Shifting Scroll. Each turn this is in your hand, transform it into a random minion, a Mage spell. Really hard card to evaluate, because it's every time just going to be another card. You see this card doesn't even have any cost, because it will always be a card that goes into another card. It's like the zeros for the Mage for spells. I don't think it's a card you play, because there are a lot of bad spells, and yeah, there will be the good spells, but you really then have to play it for the random effect of the casino effect, and then you want it to have synergy with other cards. Then it might be decent, for example, with the elemental, but you have to play it directly. I think Quest Mage can play it. because it transforms in a random card, a random mage spell. So maybe in that way it works also with Quest Mage then, right? So yeah, maybe that's actually a thing. Oh man, Mage, guys, it's not counting, right? Because of it not being it started in your deck. But oh man, this Casino Mage, guys, it's really hard to see what cards like this are gonna do. I don't think this card will see play. I don't think it's a card you will see at all. It's kind of like the Zeros, like why would I play it when I can just put my Flame Strike in the deck or put my Fireball in the deck. So yeah, I don't think it's gonna find too much play. Maybe Pavel will play it, but we'll see, guys, we'll see. And the next card and next class we are going to is Paladin. Paladin, so what will all happen with Paladin? Well, here is the legendary weapon for the Paladin. 6 mana 4/2, Val'anyr, so another class that gains a 4/2 weapon, similar as we saw already with the Hunter. But I think this is gonna be a pretty decent card for Paladin, or a really decent weapon. Val'anyr is a 6 mana 4/2 weapon. Death Rattle, give a minion in your hand 4/2. When it dies, re-equip this. Wow, that's going infinite here. So when it dies, re-equip it. Just continues every time. So you have like an infinite weapon here going on. Paladin is a deck that can play a lot with heal. Paladin has a lot of heal cards, so it can just keep it can keep up really well with taking damage. How much it really gonna go off? Like, it will be a little bit weak to like silence and big removal effects. But it is a high value card. It's a card I like more than some other weapons. I'm still a little worried because Paladin has some really sick weapons. I don't feel Paladin is really in the need of like weapons too much. Like there are Tyrians, there are True Silvers, even Rallying Blade has been good, Uther has been really good, so how many weapons can you really play? And this kinda is resilient to like removals too much, I think, to really see it consistent play. It's kind of a little bit too slow value card, because what is the real value? Yeah, it's +4/+2. Well, but cards like this are gonna be really, really good in Arena. It will be a card that is not so bad against weapon hate, because it can still be pretty fine against an ooze. Hey, you get it actually doesn't mind to get like oozed at all. It's more annoying when they have silences or big removal. And maybe it can make work like for some combo decks. Like I see this card work. Imagine this card with like a Leroy, or with like a Games on Charge mechanic, play it with a double attack, and then maybe phases and you have an OTK going on. Play it with cards like Serenade, Chain Gang, and it becomes insane. So this card can have some good combos. Like the reason why you want to play this is to play it with some combo effects, and in that way I can see it some play. So it will definitely try to make like a combo thing a little bit more possible for the Paladin. Double Gangster, yeah, things like that. Alright, and the next Paladin cards, Crystal Lion, also called as read from me as Thing from Lion. It's a 6 mana 5/5. What is it's like the Thing from Below for Paladin. Divine Shield, so that's really nice. Cost 1 less for each silver hand recruit you control. So there are a little bit of cards that give Paladin a little bit better way of making silver hand recruits on board or in the hand. It will be a card that this card is pretty good itself. Like cards that can get on the board for 0 or 1 or 2 mana like this are really good. It's just like, can we make enough dudes? Can we make enough silver hand recruits on the board to make this card good enough? Well, there are 1 or 2 cards that support it a little bit in the set, because there were no cards almost at all in the current set. Like after Muster of Battle, there has never been a good card that summons silver hand recruits. I really like the silver hand recruit mechanic in general, of like summoning on the board and doing that for Paladin. We have the 5 mana card. that just makes 5 dudes, and with that card, this card only costs 1 mana. So there is already a little bit synergy now around. This is one of the cards where what is a reason to make Silver Hand Recruits being a good mechanic. So it definitely has good potential. It is a really good potential card. If it's gonna be really firing off, we'll see. But I think this card is not, you should not underestimate it. And I think it's gonna be a card that even if it doesn't pull out this expansion, you will see it in the next expansion maybe. This card is good. It's a good card. Gilded Gargoyle. So we are going here next to the priest, and it is an 3 mana 2/2 death rattle. Add a coin to your hand. So this card is maybe not as good as some like, it's a 3 mana 2/2 add a spell to your hand. It's not insane, but there is some synergy in this card, and that is with the what was it? Like with the spell of the priest, there is some synergy. It's a card you might want to still play in like some Lyra or some Highlander priest, but it's a little 3 mana 2/2 gain an extra spell to your hand. There is a little bit of the synergy with the priest card that wants to play like additional spell, so it can be fine some play. For a 3 mana 2/2 add a coin to your hand, it's a little like, do you really want to play it? It's not like a Miracle Priest is really a thing yet. This card, like, I see it a little bit as like the Tom Pillager, what was a really good card in Rogue. But Rogue was a little bit easier to really go off with combo cards. It was a deck that wanted to play it more. Priest is kinda able to now with Lyra and some other effects. But the 3 mana 2/2 might just not be enough to really make it work. I think it's gonna be a little, maybe an OTK Priest can be a thing, but it doesn't need like a coin. I don't think it's gonna be a good card too much. It's maybe once like Raza is gonna rotate out, maybe this is what Anduin really wants, to have like some additional coin value, but yeah, I don't think like the stats are similar to Kobold Courier and then you just gain an extra card in your hand. I just think that's a way stronger mechanic. I don't think it's gonna be that good. Next is a 1 mana priest spell. Psionic Probe. Copy a spell in your opponent's deck, add it to your hand. That's a decent card. A 1 mana priest spell, copy a spell in your opponent's deck. It's kind of like a 1 mana Mind Vision, but then you Mind Vision it from your opponent's deck, and it copies a spell. It's a 1 mana Thought Steal for just 1 card. It's okay. It's good with the weapon maybe of the priest, similar as the last one with the coin. So it's kind of like maybe in that kind of deck you're definitely gonna play it. Yeah, it's a good card. I think it's kind of a little bit better maybe than Mind Vision, because minions are not the thing priest wants to copy. Spells have always been like a little bit better. So I think it's a slightly better Mind Vision. And Mind Vision, like on itself, it never was really a thing, but it was played in some Razaka Highlander Priest because it was a cheap spell. It worked with Lyra or Auctioneer. It was an extra 2 damage with Anduin and Raza. It was a card that added cards to your hand. So it was being played there. You also get some information. You know what spell is in your opponent deck, so it works in that way. Same as Thought Steal, that you have really good information on what card is maybe not in your opponent's head. It's a cool card, and it's a 1 mana card. It's a cheap card, and for 1 mana, this card is definitely a decent card. It is a little bit better, slightly better Mind Vision, I think, and maybe it can even become a better Thought Steal. I can see it being better in the Highlander one. So cool card, and we'll definitely see here and there some play. Next up is the legendary weapon for Rogue. The legendary weapon for Rogue is Kingsbane. 1 mana 1/3. Shovel this in your deck. It keeps any effect. Oh guys, what do we think of this one? The only thing I was also thinking a little bit around is like maybe some mill deck too that can maybe make it work. What is really nice is like that it keeps the effect. And they're not, but if you like play Deadly Poison on this card, and it just keeps being a 1-mana 3/3 weapon, that's really amazing. Like in Wild, you have some combos like with like the Oil Rogue that is really a thing, that has been a thing in the back in the day. This is actually the first time I see a weapon in Rogue where I'm like, okay, this is why you nerfed Blade Fury. This is actually a reason to nerf Blade Flurry. Are there enough weapon buffs? Well, there are some. I mean, we can definitely make it work. You can play Lifesteal and Potion maybe on this card too, to make it even a little bit better. But Deadly Poison is definitely a thing I also want to play on this card. I feel I want 1 or 2 more cards to really make this card as good as it maybe should have been. But just having the Death Rattle of shuffling it in your deck. Rogue is a deck that can draw a lot, or a class that can draw a lot, so that's not a problem at all for Rogue. And I really want to see a weapon Rogue making work. This weapon is good. It's a good weapon. It's a really good weapon. It has already some synergies, what I think make it good enough. But if it gets 1 or 2 more synergies, maybe not with a 2-mana Blade Fury, but with the Oil Rogue has, with a Tinker Sharp's Oil in the standard mode in the next set, then I think this card can really go off. Doomerang is also some decent synergy already, but I think you need to have like 1 more card like Deadly Poison or the Tinker Sharp Oil to really make it work. And then this card can go off. It is also a card that makes Rogue going a little bit more infinite, what can be nice for Rogue, because it can draw really fast. It's a 1-mana weapon, and it keeps the effect, so really, really nice card. It will see play. It will see play. Next card for the Rogue is an Elven Minstrel. 4-mana 3/2, draw 2 minions from your deck. Combo effect. When I was looking at this card, I was like, wow, that's actually just really good. And I'm still having the same when I look at the card again. Combo is something you have to play card before, but Rogue currently can get combo effects off really easily. There are a lot of 0-mana cards, 1-mana cards to make combo effects going. And I just see it as an 1-mana 3/2 with an Arcane Intellect or something. Like draw two minions. Like draw 2 cards, draw 2 minions. I don't think it's that big of a difference. Especially in Arena, it's a completely insane card for Rogue. But just a 4-mana 3/2 draw 2 cards is amazing. So every Tempo Rogue deck is going to play it. What has also really nice potential for this card, if there was a weakness for Rogue in any mana, like at some specific mana, it was always the 4-mana slot. Like people have been like, yeah, Sherzin has been there. Yeah, we played Prince Val'anyr even in our Rogue decks. But it never had like a 4-mana card that was really like insanely good. So every time there will now be a 4-mana good Rogue card, you will put it in your Rogue decks. And this is a really good 4-mana Rogue card. It's gonna be played in a lot of decks. It's just like a 1 or 2-mana 3/2 with like draw 2 mechanic. It will take the slot for the Rogue onto 4-mana slot. It's gonna be a card you're gonna see a lot in a lot of Rogue decks. It's a really consistently card. It's not a problem to make this combo card off. It's gonna be the Tom Pillager for Rogue, and you will see it play a lot. Next card for Rogue is a 2-mana Rogue card. 2-mana 3/1 Cavern Shinyfinder. Battlecry, draw weapons from your deck. Interesting. 2-mana, draw a weapon. It's kind of like Arcanologist. Instead of it drawing a secret, drawing a weapon. And we know how good that card all is. This being a 2-mana 3/1 draw a weapon. So Rogue doesn't necessarily play weapons too much. But it can definitely play. You can definitely play Shadowblade. It's probably the best 3-mana weapon. Or one of the best 3-mana weapons in the game. Compare this card to Loot Hoarder and you are like, wow. Compare this card like to Novice Engineer and you are like, wow. This is definitely having the Arcanologist level or almost the Arcanologist power level. It's a little weaker because the stats are not as nice. Like 2-mana 3/1 is not a nice stat line because of the 1 HP. But it's an you can now also draw your legendary weapon already at turn 2. You can draw your Shadow Blade. It fits really well in the curve with the Shadow Blade. Play this at turn 2, play Shadow Blade at turn 3. So it really makes like the tempo good. And just with the legendary weapon. So if you play like 2-3 weapons maybe. It's a good card. It's a nice card. It can also work once you have your Kingsbane deck, or when you have the weapon back in your deck, you can draw it again to make it even better. So it's a good card. This is a really good card. I just drawing in Hearthstone is insanely good. There are a lot of decks that just play a lot of draw cards, and you are really good already. And even considering, yeah, this is just like it's a way better Loot Hoarder or Novice Engineer for 2 mana. It can fit really well on curve, and I can see the synergy. Like, I think it is slightly, it's not like Arcanologist, but it's really strong. So I'm pretty hyped about this card, and I really hope that the Weapon Rogue is that there will be rogue decks that are gonna be more synergizing with weapons. It's really something that I think Rogue has been lacking in the last year. Next card, Healing Rain. Restore 12 health, dividing random among all friendly characters. That's a pretty decent card, because it's a really nice way of healing. It heals your minions where you want them to heal, but it can still heal you for it rest up. So it's not like you waste the heal when it doesn't heal your when you have heal left on your minions. I think it's a decent card. It's only a little bit problem that it can sometimes not fully heal your minion when you want it, because it goes randomly among all randomly on you and then on the board maybe. But it's an okay healing card. Reminds me a little bit on Healing Wave, but I think this one is better. Like, you can play a little bit with it to maybe trade your minion away if you want it fully on the face. I felt that Shaman was missing a little bit of a good healing card. I was playing a lot of Control Shaman, and I always got bursted down by the Mage or by some other decks. So I think this is actually a good way of an RNG heal, because I don't think it's that RNG at all. I don't like, you can just like 12 heal is a lot. 12 heal is a lot. It will often heal your minions for complete, and if you want the heal on your face, well, you just trade your minions away, or you play your minions last, and it will be fine, because it is restore. It is not using 12, no, it is restore, so it cannot go on full heal. It doesn't overheal things, so it's a good card. I think it's a really nice card actually for Control Shaman, and I hope Control Shaman will be a thing. Maybe a Totem Shaman can also find this as a good play. It makes value heal possible. It makes getting you out of burn range sometimes maybe. So it's a good card. Next card is the Murmuring Elemental. 2 mana 1/1 Elemental Battlecry. If your next Battlecry this turn triggers twice. So we have the Brand Bronzebeard here for Shaman. I always love the Brand Bronzebeard. It is one of my most missed cards that is now currently in Wild. I really miss him a little bit, Brand. But Shaman got it back. 2 mana 1/1 Elemental. So yeah, it's not stat-wise, it is not the best card. You pay a little bit for the you pay more than you paid for the Brand Bronzebeard did. There is some nice thing with it, and that's that it is an elemental, and elementals are having a lot of battle cries. So you can play this in your elemental shaman. You now can have a double elemental effect of like deal 4 damage, fire elemental deal 6. Get double Kalimos effect. Maybe even you can make discounts, because the elemental shaman can also play the discount elemental. That makes even more combos possible. You can also use it like with maybe double gangster, and you suddenly get 2 more. I think that might be a little bit too fancy to play this with double gangster evolve, and maybe even a way to win more effect. But also cards like Bone Mare, There are a lot of battle cries that this card can play with, so, and that is the same with how Brand Bronzebeard was. Like, there are a lot of decks and a lot of cards that actually really want to play with this card, and this is definitely a card that people will play and try out. I think there is definitely... It's also a nice effect because it doesn't have like a complete power level of win the game, but it will definitely... the card is consistent. It's more consistent than you might think, because Battle Cry is an effect that a lot of decks and cards have that are already good, so there is not much payback. And it being an elemental, hey, maybe we can do it a little bit in an elemental shaman. So I'm pretty excited for this card. I love this card. 2 mana, Crushing Hands, deal 8 damage to a minion, overload 3. No. It's not a card you will see too much play, I think. It's, why would I overload myself for so much? It's way too much. Yeah, cool single removal, but you can just play a 4 mana Hex. You can play better removals. If it doesn't completely be an AoE effect, then you don't want to play this card. Like, if it was an AoE effect, then you are fine overloading 3. But overloading, this is just madness of dealing 8 damage. Yeah, cool. It's only to a minion too. It's a way too expensive card. It overloads you way too much. Bad. Now we are going a little bit into the Warlock, and for Warlock, where already a lot of cards have been revealed, there were still 2 or 3 missing, and one of them is the Possessed Lackey. 5 mana 2/2, Death Rattle, recruit a demon. So, wow, actually really interesting, because it's a card that actually wants the big demons to come on the board. It is a deck that you want to play in Big Warlock or something. I'm not sure exactly. But because of this recruit mechanic not being limited, you can just get your 9 mana, the new card that has been revealed, just directly on the board. You can get Jiraxxus on the board. You can get every expensive Warlock. Like, this is the wave that is really dangerous with recruit. This is the way that can make recruit from just being a good mechanic and just win the game mechanic. So, it not being limited, it recruiting a demon, it can just get the 9 mana demon on the board for a cost of 4 mana. Because I rate this as like, the stats of this card are worth 1 mana. But if the effect is worth 4 mana, but we can abuse this 4 mana by getting the effect on for an 8 mana, it's really comparable to Barnes in a way. Yes, it is the Death Rattle, but it has as strong as a mechanic as Barnes. So, yeah, it's gonna be a card you definitely gonna play in, like, big Warlock decks. If big Warlock is really gonna be a thing, well, maybe. I mean, the 9 mana card makes it really strong. So, the 9 mana that is, like, comparable to the Obsidian, and you see how that card has been for Priest, well, this card can maybe do it for Warlock. The only weakness is a little bit... It can get stolen away by maybe Potion of Madness, but not every class has that mechanic. So, yeah, big Warlock, guys. Easy Warlock. Let's try it out. And one of the cards I am super hyped about, and one of the cards I love. Why do I love this card so much? 4 mana, 4/4, Battlecry if you are having 15 or less health, game +3/+3, and Taunt. 4 mana, 7/7 with Taunt. Why do I love this card so much? So, if anybody knows me from back in the day, from 2014, 2015, the times where I, like, if there is one deck I love the most, my favorite deck all time was Handlock. And if there was something that I'm so sad that it went away, but this card just reminds me a little bit on something. This card reminds me a little bit on, like, Molten Giant in some way, where you can play it when you go low on life. Like, I really miss the mechanic in Warlock where I go low on life, and then suddenly I can make my power plays. I can just go ham on my power plays. And with Molten Giant just being nerfed away, and Handlock being gone, this was one of the mechanics, like, you have to play around this, guys. You now have to play around this. It's such a nice mechanic, because It puts so much strategy in the game. It's such a skill to play around or not to play around it. Hey, can we play around it? Can we not play around it? Your opponent kind of wants to put you now at 16 or 17 lives, but maybe you need to take the risk to put them up 10 lives and maybe just hope he doesn't have this card. It's a really nice card. I love it. I love it so much. It's also a demon, 4 mana 4/4, but Battle Cry, 4 mana 7/7 taunt. It's an amazing card. It's making it's gonna make Control Warlock a thing again. This was one of the mechanics that we really missed in Warlock, and I'm so happy to see it again. I'm gonna I think I got my new favorite deck here with a more demon Control Warlock. It has the power level. It has the power level. I'm gonna play it so much. I'm gonna optimize the decks. I'm gonna play it in tournaments. My favorite archetype of handlock, I kind of got it back with Control Demon Lock, I'm pretty sure. And this card, guys, it makes it so nice. It's gonna be punishing the aggro decks. Your opponent has to play around it. It's a really nice card. I love it. Thanks, Blizzard. Whew. You got the notes, guys? Good job. Keep making notes. Dark Pact. Destroy a friendly minion. Restore 8 health to your hero. So, besides this already being a pretty decent 1 mana card, don't forget the synergy that we just had, guys. You can now, at 15 lives, you can, for example, play in 4 mana 7/7 with Taunt, and then you just destroy a friendly minion, and you restore 8 life to your hero. So there is a lot of synergy where now the Warlock can play with his health again. It's kind of like the Demon Pact, but now you can use it on every minion, so it doesn't necessarily have to be a demon. And it's a 1 mana card, so it heals a little bit stronger too. Nice card. It's a nice card. It's a 1 mana card. It can heal. You want to use it on tokens, but maybe you can even do it on like eggs. Like play it on an egg, play it on Death Rattle minions, destroy it, you gain heal, and your effect goes off. So really good card. It's gonna definitely be played in like a more Death Rattle based Warlock that wants to destroy some of your own stuff. And yeah, maybe like it has already been a little bit around. Maybe Zoo can even play it, like play it on an egg and you get it off. There is no power overwhelming anymore. It's a pretty nice card, and but especially in like Control Warlock, I think this is gonna go off because there the heal gain of 8 is also really nice. And I definitely think there can be some Death Rattle cards you can maybe play. We don't really have like the Sylvanas that was always so good in the deck, but there will be Death Rattle cards, I think, that will maybe make this card more than good enough. The card itself is really powerful, so it will definitely see play. Next up, Warrior cards. Kobold Barbarian is the Warrior card. 3 mana 4/4 at the start of your turn, attack a random enemy. So it's a pretty it's kind of like an ogre that just attacks at the start of the turn with this Kobold Barbarian at the start at a random enemy. Stats are nice. It's gonna be a good arena card because the stats are so good for 3 mana. I think this is not a card for Constructed too much. There is no Warrior deck that wants to play cards like this, I think. And there's not that much benefit of at the start of your turn attack a random enemy or attack yourself. It's gonna be it's a good arena card. Cards like this are really good in arena. And yeah, I mean, I was thinking of an aggro warrior. Like maybe a pirate warrior wants to play a card like this, I don't know, and just attack face, ignore taunt. But I don't know. I don't think like Temple Warrior has been, after the 5 Warwicks was nerfed, Temple Warrior, Pirate Warrior, they all get really a hard nerf. And I don't think like Kobold Barbarian, it could be a card you could consider in the deck, but it's not gonna carry that deck. So well. But yeah, if you hate taunt, guys, and you want to ignore taunt sometimes, here is your card. Another warrior card. Gemstudded Golem. 6 mana, 5/9 taunt, can only attack if you have 5 or more hours. So I really like this mechanic that has been getting into the warrior and druid a little bit. With can only attack with some certain amount of armor. I think that's really cool. But what I especially like about these cards is they already have Taunt. And so even if they don't attack themselves, and we know how control of a warrior class is, the card's already good. Like, it's a freaking Soggot that just doesn't attack. Like, it's kind of like Soggot, with maybe not that it cannot be targeted by spells, but 6 mana 5/9. Like, what? That's a 6 stat line for a taunt. 6 mana 5/9. Like, are you kidding me, guys? Ancient of War here that just doesn't attack. Kinda like that. The stat line is amazing for 6 mana, so amazing good card. So yeah, will definitely be played in Control Warrior, will be played in Quest Warrior that still plays the taunts, and in quite some more. It's really gonna be a card that will be, and yeah, play it with a shield block afterwards, and it can even attack. So it's not that Warrior has too hard time of getting armor. There are a lot of additional Warrior armor cards now. So we will see this definitely play, guys. We will see this definitely play. Geosculptor Jib, at the end of the turn, summon a random minion with cost equal to 10 armor. So the legendary for the warrior. Pretty decent warrior legendary. I think it's a really good warrior legendary. Why do I think it's a good warrior legendary? It's an end of the turn effect, and you have to kill it, and you need to put 8 damage into this card to kill it. So it's not that easy to kill it, and it always already goes on for 1 time. Well, and if you play this with Bring It On at turn 10, so play Bring It On, then you play this, you get a random 10 drop. Play it with something else, and you probably have already some armor, and you will get like a 6 drop, an 8 drop. Like, if you look at the stat of this card, it's a 4/8. So how much is a 4/8 worth? 4/8 is definitely worth 5 mana. I don't think it, like, if you compare it to 5 mana cards, would you play a 5 mana 4/8? Probably. Like, it's definitely better than a 4 mana card, and I think there have been a lot of 5 mana 4/6 cards, so at least this card is worth 5 mana. At least this card is worth 5 mana. So if you have this effect already, like, so you pay 3 mana for the effect. If you just think of that already, that we only play 3 mana for the effect of at the end of your turn, summon a random minion with a cost equal to the armor. Wow, that's good, because you can just, if you just think about that and you already get a 5 drop, it's already really good. Like, get a 5 drop from this card, and the card does already more than it should do. It's already a really good 8 mana card. So it will definitely see play in the deck. In a lot of warrior decks, especially in control warriors that want to play a little bit with armor. And I think there will be a lot, because now with a lot of extra armor cards, what the warrior was kind of looking for fast armor cards, and with Bring It On, and with Shield Block, I really want to check this card out. And I think this is, because it's even, like, this is an insanely win card, a win more card. Like, it goes off once, and if your opponent doesn't even kill it, you're like, ha, you just lose the game. Let me get some more armor, and here's my next 10 drop. Insane card, guys. Insane card. Get this card off with Recruit, and this card is completely nuts. So, sick card, sick card, sick card. Okay. Alright. Now, next to all the neutral cards, so the neutral cards, there have been a lot of cards that haven't even been revealed, but just got all now revealed in one time of all the neutral cards, more than 30 I think. And here is the first one and the most exciting one for me. It's the 4 mana 2020. 4 mana 2020. What's up with your 4 mana 7/7 now, guys? What you talking about? I'm a 4 mana 2020, yo. Star Dominant. Shuffle 3 candles into the enemy deck. When drawn, this awakens. So, wow, what a card, guys. 4 mana 2020, the Darkness. So, yeah, well, I love this card a lot. I like it a lot. It is also a really cool counter to some specific decks. Like, this card can just maybe, it's just an insanely good counter against the Raza Priest. Like, if there's any deck that has been super good lately, guys, it has definitely been Raza Priest. But what if they now have Raza in their hand, and suddenly they have 3 candles in their deck? Well, sorry Raza, but you're not gonna get your effect going now. It is a Kazakus counter, it is a Raza counter. It's not necessarily an Anduin counter, but still kinda is. It is definitely a big counter to that deck. And that's what makes me the most exciting. But also the effect of it just getting played like against Quest Mage. And they wanna draw a lot. Well, be care, because the third candle, there is a 20/20 on the board and it can just kill them immediately maybe. But yeah. Also the card on itself, it's already decent. You play it and you don't get the effect directly. So you pay 4 mana for what is a tempo loose. Because this guy cannot do anything. It is dormant. It's the same as Sherazin. It is waiting, waiting, waiting. And then it comes out there when the 3 candles are getting drawn. But it's a really nice card. I love it a lot. It's just a super... it really reminds me on the old Rogue card. That shuffle 3 ambushes in your opponent's deck. Well, this is kinda in a similar way. And it's really cool. You can even do it with the Battle Cry of the Elemental. And you shuffle 6 candles in your opponent's deck. Or something stupid. But it definitely is a big Raza destroyer. And that's what makes me the most exciting. Because Raza Priest has been the tier 1 deck of the last expansion. Love it! It is a big punish when opponent's decks draws a lot. But it can also maybe good for a mill deck even here and there. I don't know. We'll see. Love it. Master Oakheart is another legendary revealed. So one of the older neutral legendaries. 9 mana, 5/5, Battlecry Recruiter, 1, 2, and 3 attack minion. A really interesting one. It is a card that wants to abuse 1, 2, and 3 drops that or 1, 2, and 3 attacks. I haven't really think about this card in what way it is. It has like the best synergy. What immediately came in my mind is Void Lord. What is the card for Warlock? That is a 3/9 taunt, summon 3 Voidwalkers. What is a 9 mana card? That was one of the things that came in my mind. But you definitely look for ways to like maybe Alakir for Shaman is a thing that just comes in my mind. That are some of the effects that you wanna play with this card. You don't play this card to get a 1 drop, a 2 drop, and a 3 drop. But if you get like some Void Lord, some Hadronox, some other Alakir, like some really sick effects cards that that can go on with this, that have mainly death rattles. It has a big potential because it doesn't say 1, 2, and 3 mana cost, no 1, 2, or 3 attack. But there are some really strong ones in the set to make it work. And like things like some elementals like Tar Creeper and Tar Elemental already have just one. They just have 1 attack. So really strong card. Should not get underestimated. It can be a 9 mana card, almost win the game maybe. So this card is good, guys. Don't underestimate this card. This card is not good just to have in your deck. But this card is good if you make your deck a little bit around it. I think it has potential in Warlock and Warrior mainly. Because they have some Tars. Tar Creeper, Tar Lord. That can be really strong as 1 attack. You can make it with some good 3 attacks. And maybe if you play it with like the Ellie Armorsmith as a 2 attack. Like that are combos you want to play it off. Really strong 9 mana card if you make your deck around it. Next up, King Togglewoggle. King Togglewoggle. A Battle Cry. Swap stack with your opponent. Give their random King's random spell to swap back. It's a 5 mana spell that swaps decks back with your opponent. Man, what a card, guys. What a card. It's a little bit of a meme card, I feel, for 8 mana, because it's gonna be hard to make it really good. But maybe there are ways to make it really good. You can also play a little bit with it. So like at 10 mana, you swap with your opponent, and then suddenly you play their apprentice or maybe even the quest from the mage, and suddenly they are not able to play their quest anymore. Cool card. It's a cool card. But I wonder how to make it really competitive. You can play some really shitty card, or you can play it with Hammett. then you swept the deck, then you hammered your opponent's deck away, and then he cannot sweep back anymore. I don't know. Just some things that come in my mind to maybe make it work, to make it fun. We'll see. We'll see how to make this card work. Interesting one though, a really interesting one. Dragon Hatchler. At the end of your turn, recruit a dragon. 9 mana 2/4. Man, I'm not even thinking of this card as a 9 mana card. I'm just thinking like, wow, this is a big evolve nerf and a big devolve buff. It's a pretty bad card, I think. Like, if I think about recruiting a dragon, like, yeah, you can play 9, 8, and 9 mana dragons, but a lot of dragons are getting played because of their battle cry. Like a Deathwing or an Onyxia are having just battle cries. With Ysera it's okay because you have a 9 mana 2/4, but do you really want to do that? To play this and then hope your Ysera is still in the deck? Like, it's not even good with Deathwing, right? Only with the Deathwing with the Death Rattle. I mean, sure, you get a little buff, but I have a big question about it. It's kind of slow for a 9 mana. I don't think it's as strong of an... It's like an at the end of the turn. You can play it with the King Togwaggle to make it really good, maybe. Then you have it as a 2 health card, and then it's amazing. But I'm not sure if there are enough dragons to make it really good. Kind of want... Well, there has been a card that we actually go to, but it's a 9 mana Taunt Dragon. What can be really good for this deck, actually. Now that card actually makes a little bit more sense to me. Yeah, maybe it can be... Maybe there's more synergy than I was expecting now, looking a little bit more at the card. Looks fine then. Maybe it looks fine with more synergy, but you have to play your... You make obviously your deck around it. Play this with Barnes is also really good, actually. It actually is maybe better with the end of the turn effect now I think about it. Grand Archivist. At the end of the turn, cast a random spell from your deck. It's a little bit... I think it's too bad. Because of it, random spell, and the target is chosen randomly. It can just be yourself. Like, even if you play it with a Pyroblast in your deck, you can just Pyroblast your own face. It's a little bit too like an inconsistent Yogg that only plays one spell. It's not gonna be a card you want to play. It is too much. It has almost 50-50 of being negative for you. The stats are not good on the card. Bad card. Might be fun. Good luck with it, but it's not a card that makes me much exciting to play with. And there are better cards to have more fun with, guys. Just play with Yogg. Corrupted Creeper. Cost 1 less for cost 1 less whenever a minion dies while this is in your hand. So it's not that it costs 1 less just by a minion dying this turn. No, just in your hand. So it has potential of becoming a 0 mana 5/5. This is a fine card. If it would say cost 1 less whenever this minion dies, like for the turn or something, it was a bad card. But this card is just to be potential of becoming a 0 mana 5/5 if you have it in your opening hand, or a 1 or a 2 or a 3 mana 5/5. So it's a fine card. If it is gonna be strong enough, well, probably it's gonna be hard. Maybe in like a deck that likes beasts too, like Hunter. But this card has good potential. It has good potential. Shimmering Courser. Only can target this with spells and hero power. Only you can target it with spells and hero powers. Kind of interesting because it cannot get removed then by spells. What is kind of a big thing. Because a lot of decks are removing minions with spells, like control decks. Stats are a little meh. Still gets killed by weapons. I don't think it's good enough. Unicorn Paladin. Unicorn Hunter. Can still get removed by some removals like False Plane, but that's kind of it. Like against AoE cards. Unicorn. Maybe in a buff Paladin. Maybe in some Hunter. I don't really feel... It's a hard card to evaluate. I feel it's a little lacking. But it can become, like, it doesn't need too much to already be a good 4-drop. So, it's kind of nice, and maybe you can play really well around other stuff. It's kind of like the Beer Shark. So I don't really see the point why you will play it in Hunter. Besides that you can buff it, and your opponent doesn't. We'll see. I think Paladin has some potential with this card, maybe. And here is an 3-mana 3/3 neutral demon. So there are still neutrals in the demon neutrals. We don't have that much. There are some, but they are all really bad. And now actually the first neutral demon that I think is actually pretty good. The Void Ripper. 3-mana 3/3, swap the attack and health of all other minions. Not sure how you want to play this card, but it is just a Graced Alchemist, but just for all other minions. What is the great thing about this card is you can play it in like an OTK deck maybe, like a Priest. And you only need to play Divine Spirits. But you can also play it as first you trade everything away that is a good trade for you. Then you swap the stats. Then you make some more trades to make more good trades for you. And you get a lot of value. So you can also play it as a counter to like the Spreading Plague maybe. I was thinking of, and deal some 1 damage AoE cards. But I'm not sure. But the swap mechanic is a decent mechanic. So it will be a card that is decent. Will be a card pretty popular in Arena. Will be a card that maybe can make some combo decks possible. Love this card. It's a cool card, and it's also a little counter maybe here to like a Doomsayer and so on. So it's a card that you will see play. Next up, Ebon Dragonsmith. 4 mana, a 3/4, reduce the cost of a random weapon in your hand. It's a dragon, 4 mana, 3/4 weapon. Maybe some dragons want to play some dragon decks, but there are not many dragon decks that run weapons, right? Like Priest doesn't really do it. Play it in... Is it worth if you... Nah, I'm not sure. Don't think it's good. There are not any dragon decks. Dragon Warrior is not a thing anymore. Like what they... And it doesn't draw the weapon. Like it only reduced the cost of the weapon. It's not good enough. Nah, there are no like it may be in a wild Dragon Warrior this is a thing. But Priest is the only class that really plays a lot of dragons. Maybe some Dragon Paladin. Nah, I don't think it makes it work. Maybe Dragon Paladin can do something. Like Dragon Paladin was a deck around, but not anymore. Too many dragons rotate out. Don't like the card too much. Don't see it playing anywhere. Kobold Monk. 4 mana 3/6. Your hero power can be targeted by spells or hero powers. Ooh. That's interesting. Your hero can be targeted by spells. And by hero powers. 4 mana 3/6 is a strong stat line. Good in Arena, definitely. It's a pretty decent card. Yeah, it's a decent card. Oh, what deck do you want to play this in? It's kind of like a counter mechanic, but it's not really a quest counter mechanic. Because you just fireball this and then you fireball the face. I mean, it's a kind of like a hunter counter to their hero power. Like that's the only thing that really... And it's kind of a counter to Raza Priest, but then they shoot this down. It's kind of slightly counter to it, maybe. Stats are good on the card, so it's a nice card. I mean, 4 mana 3/6, sure. So, yeah. Play this, then get Anti-Magic Shell, and this guy can never get removed, and you cannot die. Well, maybe it... Oh, it doesn't target, okay. Yeah, Hunter shoots directly, alright. So it's only the target way, so only the Mage hero power. Not even the... yeah. We'll see. Maybe it counters some deck at some point and then it can become a good card. The stat line is fine of it. Shrieking Shroom. At the end of the turn, summon a random 1-cost minion. 3 mana 1/2. Summon a 1/2, probably 2/1, whatever you have in your deck. Maybe 2/2. Not a good card. Doesn't get enough value. It's a way the stat line is not good enough. Like, let's say you summon a Raven, what is a 1 mana 2/2, what is a good outcome, one of the best. 3 mana 1/1 and a 2/2. We don't play that for 3 mana. It's a really bad card. It's actually really bad. Looks good though. Is that how we should evaluate cards like this, guys? If I should dodge the way of, hey, this card is bad. Hey, the artwork is good. Good artwork, guys. It's a good art. This card has good artwork. Destroy a minion with 1 or less attack. 2 mana, 1/2. It's actually a good way of dealing with Doomsayer for only 2 mana. It's a mech, doesn't really matter, I think. Maybe an aggro deck plays this because it deals with Doomsayer so easily. It's a decent card. I mean, maybe in Vault there is like some more mech synergy where this is like better. Is there only other 1 attack minions that really are... It is like a really good card against Mana Worms and Acolytes. Like especially also Mana Worm, what is really good again, what doesn't get hard countered that well. Like all these 1/3 clerics. It's actually a really good one, a really good 2-drop if your opponent goes turn 1, 1-drop, 1/3, and then you coin this guy out. There is some synergy for Paladin actually with Eldor. Like there was always the synergy between Eldor and Kodo. It's the same with this, Eldor into Scorpomatic. So it's actually a good Paladin card maybe. This card is actually pretty nice, guys. Don't underestimate this card. It can be a good meta card, a good combo card in some decks. Yeah, I like it. Maybe you even want to play it in your own minions if you play an egg deck. Play an egg deck and then you destroy the egg. But that I'm not sure about. Sleepy Dragon. 9 mana, 4/12. 9 mana, 4/12. Taunt Dragon. So it's like Ysera with Taunt. Well, in a Taunt deck, in a Recruit deck, this is a good card. I don't think it's better than Primordial Drake on itself. But it's a card that is really good in a Recruit deck maybe, because it has Taunt. Like the way where this can be better than Primordial Drake or Ysera is in a Recruit deck maybe. But otherwise it's just an like it is definitely not the Ultra Sword of the set because it has Taunt and that makes the card better. And it has for attack, it's like a budget Ysera in a way, but it has like some benefit, so not completely. It's kind of alright, kind of, I don't know, sure. It's probably a fine card here and there. Violet Worm, 8 mana, 7/7 Death Rattle, summon 7 1/1s. Death Rattle is kind of bad of the card. Maybe if you get it on with Barnes it's good, but otherwise it's too slow. You don't play 8 mana cards for its Death Rattle. Death Rattle of just 1/1s, the card, don't get eaten by this card, man. Ugh. So, yeah, I don't like this card too much. Think it's too slow. 8 mana cards are better. It's up in Arena maybe, but in Arena or in Constructed, this is not really a card that makes you this excited. It's like an Onyxia, but then Death Rattle. That's how I see this card. Maybe it's fine actually, but like what Death Rattle deck really wants to? Maybe an Azot deck can play it, huh? Yeah, maybe here and there it finds some chances, but I don't feel like there's just too much cards that also deal with 1/1s really well. Just Maelstrom it or Spirit Lash it, something like that. 5 mana, 2/2, give addicted minions +2/+2. It's not good. It's there are 5 mana, 4/5. Maybe I mean it gives +2/+2 with charge. That's kind of nice actually. It doesn't have any synergy with else. It's a decent card. It's actually a fine arena card. So many neutrals you shouldn't look at from an arena perspective, and then it can be +4/+4. 5 mana +4/+4 is amazing as charge. It's a good maybe token shaman or an evolved shaman card where you buff and then you evolve it. It's alright. It's whatever. You will pick it here and there in your arena deck. 7 mana 3/3 recruit and 8 mana minion. A lot of 8 mana minions are good to recruit because they are having taunt, they are having battle cry, they are having extra effects. Think of Tyrion, think of a Lich King. These 8 drops are probably the ones you play. So it's actually a decent card. It's kind of Death Rattle what makes it slow, not as good as Battle Cry, kind of mad in that way. Yeah, it's kind of, and like, it's good with end of the turn effects like Lich King, and it's good with Tyrions, something like that. Seems okay. If you make your deck around it and you have like a Tyrion, Lich King, and maybe something else with a decent effect, you can make it work. It's kind of slow for a 7 mana card, but hey, it's faster than an 8 mana. There is benefit afterwards. You can make swing turns. Reasonable card. Green Jelly, 5 mana, 3/3. At the end of the turn, summon a 1/2 with Ooze with Taunt. Kind of like Sludge Belcher idea, but just worse. 5 mana, 3/3, really easy to kill. Kind of like Hogger actually. What is a 6 mana 4 for summon a 2/2 with Taunt? Hogger is not too bad, but it doesn't see play. Green Jelly, here and there at the end of the turn. It's not really not a good enough card. It's like a free-to-play Hogger. It actually might be better than Hogger, but with it being a 1 turn earlier. But it's not a Sludge Belcher. Sludge Belcher was a 3/5 with Taunt, but was really much better than a 5 mana 3/3 not with Taunt. Cool design, but will not see too much play. Yeah, I'm going a little fast in these neutrals, guys. 5 mana, 1/5 Taunt Poison. That's interesting. But I know 5 mana. 5 mana. No. 5 mana, 1/5 Poison, right? Oh, 5 mana. That's a lot, man. Maybe in Arena it is some play. Like, Poison is really strong in Arena. Not so great. Not good. Yeah, it will be here and there in Arena, guys. But everything can be here and there in Arena. I think it's too expensive. But maybe here and there it can be a decent pickup. Maybe with the Oak Heart or something, there's some synergy. There is actually some. Corrosive Sludge. 5 mana 5/5, destroy an opponent's weapon. Another weapon destroyer. It's a good stat line, but I think if you want to play a card that you want to just play to destroy opponent's weapon, you just play Ooze. The 2 or 3 mana Ooze are both better, so you don't want to play this Ooze. This Sludge is just... Yeah, there's no reason to play this over the other Oozes around. If you compare this to Harrison, it's kind of a joke, because the Harrison draws, and it's a 5 mana 5/4. So you play, it's like a budget Harrison. Not a good card for Constructed. It will be a pick in Arena here and there, because the stat line is fine. 5 mana, 4 mana 5/1, Death Rattle, summon a 5/1. I don't think cards like this are that good because of 1 HP. Like, you cannot play Magma Rages because of the 1 HP. Like, it's cool they have 5 attack, but yeah, 1 HP just gets killed too easily. 2 tokens, 2 hero powers, 2 daggers, 2 whatever effects. Yeah, maybe a Death Rattle deck can here and there try it out, but this is a pretty bad stat line. And with the Death Rattle of a 5/1, I don't think there's any there. Like, even decks that run Death Rattle, they are not too happy getting a 5/1. Quest Route is actually a thing with this card, because you can play it with the Jungle Giants quest, and then you have a 5/1 and you summon another 5/1. That's actually good. Now think about it. Played in the Druid quest. Shroom, a Brewer. 4 mana 4/4. Shroom Brewer. Battle Cry. Restore for a heal. That's pretty decent. Decent effect. Decent card. Not good enough for Arena or for Constructed, I think. Maybe Warlock likes it because of the heal effect. It's like Val'anyr. It's actually a decent card. It's like Urban Ring for Val'anyr. And Val'anyr has been around here and there. It's actually a decent card. I think it's a little worse than Val'anyr, but maybe there are reasons where you want to have like a 4 mana card in your deck, and then this one is Battle Cry. It's actually decent for Rogue, because Rogue was lacking 4 mana cards, and it likes it's kind of like Refreshment Vendor in that way. It's a decent card. You will see it in Rogue, you will see it in Warlock. It's not that insane, and not gonna be like the win insane card. But yeah, maybe in Rogue and in Warlock you like this. Especially with now the benefit of first going to 15 lives and then you want to maybe heal up. Can be a thing there. 4 mana 2 to stealth. Your other minions have +1 attack. Cool effect. Cool art. Not good enough. No, not good enough. 2 mana. It's a demon. It feels more like a demon nerf. Almost to random demon cards. Like Bane of Doom. It's like good maybe in some token decks, but it still gets removed so easily. So, meh. It's an like a neutral Leok effect that you need to remove it though. Like some decks can't remove it and then can be strong. Raid leader with stealth, huh? How is that? Don't think it's that sick. Maybe here and there some decent synergy in like Zoo decks, in Shaman decks. But nah, I think the 2 HP, it still gets dealt with too easily, even it being stealth. Next one, Boydster's Bard, 3 mana 3/2, give your minions +1 and health. It's pretty a strong effect because it buffs everything. Give your other minions +1 health. It's pretty strong for 3 mana actually. Like if you get this on like 3 minions, it's pretty nice. Yeah, it's alright. In a Zoo deck, in a Shaman deck, token decks, in Arena, sure, play it. Yeah, it's a decent card. Dragon Slayer, actually a really good card. When I saw this card, I was like, wow. 3 mana 4/3 deals 6 damage to a dragon. Well, if you think Dragon Priest is gonna dominate the meta, guys, this is gonna be your inclusion in your deck. Obviously more like a tech card, but really similar to a Crawler in the way of it countering a deck. And it has a really good stat line for 3 mana. So if Dragon Priest is gonna be a thing or any other dragon deck, this is a really good card. It doesn't almost hurt you at all to play it. Like it's an 3 mana 4/3, guys, and Scalebanes are around in a lot of decks. So I think people are now already have to put the Scalebanes out of their decks. This card is just gonna wreck it, and 3 mana 4/3 is a complete fine stat line. So yeah, really good card, really strong counter card, really strong one, like really strong. So rip Scalebane, guys. Scalebanes are gonna get baned now. Kobold Apprentice. Deal 3 damage randomly split among enemies. So it's kind of like the Cthulhu's card, the Discipline of Cthulhu. 3 mana 2/1 that did 2 damage to. Now you deal 3 damage randomly. So kind of like an Arcane Missiles effect. Not strong enough to find in a constructed deck. It just is too randomly. You sometimes don't clear 1 HP. Not strong enough. So it's the same as the Disciple of Cthulhu. There is no reason to play this card besides a deck that asks to play this card. And yeah, that's it. So not a strong enough card. You will here and there pick it up in your arena, but will not see play in constructed. Cool art. 3 mana Battle Cry, summon a 2/3 giant rat. It's a 1/1, not good enough. In a hunter you can play it, but this one there is no reason that you really play this card then, I think. So we will not really see this play in constructed. It's just not good enough for 3 mana to have a 2/3 and a 1/1. We'll pick you up here and there in arena, sure guys. But not an it will be just mainly a nerf to evolve and de-evolve, I think. Won't see much play. 3 mana Divine Shield Poison. So their strong thing is the Divine Shield if you compare it to Stealth Poison. It's a beast. It's a good card. This is a decent card. It's pretty good to have Divine Shield and Poison on a card. So it's a beast that synergizes well. We'll find some play here and there, I think. Good arena card, decent token card, good with a beast tag. Fine card. Nice card here and there. You will see it play. I think in Hunter it can be decent, and in Arena it's decent. So maybe with Ball the Beast it is even better. So yeah, Looks like a good card. I don't mind it. Sure card. It's pretty nice to have a double poison effect. Like, how do you remove it? You need to remove it with removal. It's a really nice card. Alright, and this is actually a really sick card, guys. It doesn't look as fleshy, but if there's anything that Hunter might need, well, here you go. 1 mana, 1/3. Let's go. Play this in Aggro Druid. You have already the Mark of Yashar there too. Play this in Hunter. It's a good card. It's a really nice card. It's really good in Hunter and Druid. That's where you play it. That is the decks where Beast has great synergy. So Token, Aggro Druid, and Hunter really likes this card. It's what especially Hunter needs as a 1-drop. And it is something that maybe Druid doesn't need, but is really happy with getting. You can cut the patches package out of Hunter or out of Druid. And Hunter always had a problem running that, so Hunter is really happy. Yeah, good card. Really good card. Really sick stat line for 1 mana card. Sick card. Beast decks love this card, and 1 mana 1/3s have always been good. I like that it doesn't have a snowball effect like some other 1 mana 1/3s. Good card. Really good card. This into Razor Maw, this into Mark of Yashar or other buff cards. Nice card. 2 mana 2/3, gain 3 armor. Well, that's also a pretty decent card. I don't know if there's much synergy with the 3 armor, but Druid maybe has. Maybe a mid-range Druid can be a thing. Like this card, if I just compare this to like River Crocolisk, it's like so much better, of course, because, well, it's River Crocolisk with an effect. Feels bad, man, for River Crocolisk, guys. So, yeah, it has to be a decent card. Maybe Hunter can play it. I mean, 3 armor is not a sick effect. So many beasts coming out too, yeah, I agree. I don't know which class really benefits from this 3 armor. It has to be Druid or Warrior. Like, that has some cards that really benefit from it. But, yeah, maybe you just want to play it because it gains 3 armor. I mean, it's a better River Crocolisk, so maybe it's just a good filler as a 2-drop in your Hunter deck that wants to have a 2-drop beast. Then you might want to play that if you don't play the Crawler. Well, let's play this. Wax Elemental, 1 mana 0/2, top Divine Shield, so an annoying elemental. That's pretty cool. The Wax Elemental. Elementals don't really have much buff, so it's hard to buff this card. But it can be an annoying taunt. Like it reminds me on Annoyotron, that was a 2 mana 1/2. But that one had 1 attack. Cool art. Not insane. Maybe elemental decks it can be a decent filler. But that just will be it. It having 0 attack is a big thing, and not having 1 attack. So, yeah. Shield with 0 attack is just really a shield. It's alright. I mean, it's only 1 mana. Like, what do you expect? So, it's a decent card, but... yeah, this is not gonna make an elemental deck like complete nuts or something. So, we'll see. Maybe a Divine Shield deck can maybe make it work. Like, maybe Paladin. Elemental Paladin. Play it there, play some buffs, synergizes with Divine Shield, plays with Taunt. It actually makes a Corpse Taker really good. Corpse Taker is Divine Shield Taunt too, so maybe in decks like that. Vundral, Enter, Battle Cry, restore 2 health to all friendly chair. Oh, that's pretty decent. It's like the 5 mana 4/5 that does the same. It also heals your face. Kind of like Earthen Ring effect, but more consistent on multiple minions. That's actually a really good card. It's a better Earthen Ring maybe. Wow. It's actually a really nice card. Play this in your Warlock, play this in some control decks, and it's actually a nice card, man. It's like Earthen Ring for Seer, but just yeah, more flexible. Really good card, guys. Actually really good. I'm a little bit surprised, but it's a good card. Cool art even. And a good card. Yeah. You're gonna see this play, guys, actually. Pick up in Arena quite here and there. In some valuable minion trade decks, some mid-range decks it's fine. And in some control decks also maybe. It's a good card. Tooty Chest, 3 mana 0/4. At the start of the turn, set this minion attack to 0. Bad card. Cool art. We are done with it. It's like the Valid Doomsayer, guys. You cannot play cards like this. And the benefit of it just being a 3-mana 4/4. But hey, cool art. And so we did all the reviews, guys, on all the cards that have been revealed in the now recently. So yeah, we did it. All cards have been revealed. So yeah, I hope you at least loved this single card reveal.